Today's episode is brought to you by Agrarius, a South African investor specializing in agriculture. Agrarius founders originate from the farming community and have experienced how financial markets don't understand agricultural sector needs. They have thus fundraised from JSE investors to make money work for everyone. Agrarius offers a wide range of solutions, be it working capital, new equipment, new plantings and farm purchases. Whenever there is business potential, there is a way to make it happen. Agrarius, fair funding for agriculture. For more information about funding options, visit agrarius.co.za, a product of 274 Investment Managers. An authorized financial services provider, 31045.
Afternoon, we've got Michael Esmeraldo from Netafim, Southern and East Africa. Did I say that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being with us. So, let's fall in.
Please will you introduce yourself?
Before you go there, what do you tell people around the braai what you do?
Yeah, it's the kind of same thing, but you know.
Yeah, it's a quite an interesting one because normally when anyone asks me, I would generally just say I'm in irrigation. I'm in the irrigation industry. I think that simplifies things. And I talk so much about irrigation from Monday till Friday at 2. I don't want to talk about it at braai. So it normally stops when I say I'm in the irrigation industry. So then I can continue talking about the springboks.
You feel like a bit of a drip then.
That's a good one, yeah. Something like that.
Feel like a drip.
Yeah, no, so, as you mentioned, Dewald, I'm Michael Esmeraldo, the managing director at Netafim Southern and East Africa. Although I've only been in this position for, let's say, the last 2.5 years. Started out my career at Netafim in 2015 as a junior agronomist, so studied BSc Agriculture and Agricultural Economics. And I did a little bit of that for about five or 6 years, and then started to get involved more on the commercial level at Netafim, you know, selling and interacting with clients and getting involved on the retail side of things for a couple of years. And then I was fortunate to be offered this position back in, what was it then, 2023, November 2023, yes. So for the last two and a half years, I've been in this position now at Netafim South Africa, yes.
Fantastic. Give us a little context of Netafim. What is Netafim? How big is it? Where is it? Who is it? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Netafim is the largest irrigation company in the world. If we take a look on a global level, first of all, it is an Israeli-based company that has recently sold 80% of its shares to a Mexican-listed company called Orbia. So we report all the way back to Mexico at this stage, but if we just come back home or come back a little bit closer here, South Africa has been fortunate to have Netafim, a business unit of Netafim here since 1992. So we've been in the game quite a bit, and we started out here in the Western Cape, mostly focused on the citrus and the vineyard industry, and we've since 1992, you know, moved all the way up, where we're now doing business, you know, in Kenya, Malawi, Tanzania, and even looking after some of the projects in Ghana and Nigeria as well. So that's where the Netafim Southern and East Africa comes into the equation. But most of the business still focused in South Africa. I would say, let's say 60% focused in South Africa, and the rest would be other African countries.
Wow.
Very interesting. Goodness.
So I guess that you've got to travel across all of these regions.
Yeah, I do a bit of traveling, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds worse than it is actually, because obviously there's some established markets outside of South Africa where we tend to focus on, and the others are still in the development phase where we need to spend time and resources to still develop the market. I would say if you take a look outside of the South African borders, the countries that we tend to focus on would be Zimbabwe. There's a very strong, mature market there. Zambia is doing really well. And then Kenya is also quite a mature market. But other than these three, I mean, there's still a lot of time and effort that needs to be invested into these countries to really fully develop it into a mature irrigation market.
So which country do you think has got the best potential? Let's take South Africa out of the equation from the things that you've seen.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting question, and I don't think we would ever get to an answer, because with the volatility of African politics and economy, it changes almost on a weekly basis. But at the moment, Zimbabwe is doing extremely well. I'm really optimistic. I visited Zimbabwe actually last week, and came back with a really positive feeling about Zimbabwe for the first time since I started visiting Zimbabwe. To be honest with you guys, and specifically focus on the blueberries. There's a big blueberry boom happening. I don't know if you guys read in the media now about the opening of the China market for the Zimbabwe.
know.
It's massive. I mean, I think we can expect that trend to continue for at least another two to 3 years on the blueberry market.
We've been quite involved with Zimbabwe, and me in particular. I was part of opening the avocados to China.
Oh,
I
yes.
helped them with stuff like that,
Yeah.
and also with the citrus. So I know the guys, and we actually interviewed Linda Nielsen from the HTC last week,
Okay.
and also Alistair Campbell.
Yes.
So they're awesome people.
Yeah.
It's an awesome country.
It's a great country. I love visiting Zimbabwe always.
And it's so good to hear things are picking up there.
Yeah.
I mean, from we all know the history and the kind of very negative background. So if things are going better and it's looking good, that's so good to hear. But Michael, I have a more specific question for you. When you say irrigation, it's like, what do people think? Do they think, like a garden hose, or do they think
Pop-up sprayer.
a sprinkler? Maybe you need to just expand a little bit on what you guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to add on to that, I think if you, to the general person out there that know a little bit about irrigation, I think the first thing they will say is drip irrigation. And a lot of people might only think it's the only thing you guys are doing, but it's not. Am I correct?
No, not at all, actually. But to be honest with you, quite an interesting observation that you made there, to say that, whenever anyone thinks about, a normal person outside of the agricultural space thinks about irrigation, the first thing that comes to mind, funnily enough, is pumps. They think about pumps. The first thing they ask me is, do you sell pumps and PVC? Those are the two things that they normally think about when they think about irrigation. But no, at Netafim, so we specialize in drip irrigation. We were also the company, you were asking about the company earlier. So in 1965, Netafim manufactured and patented the first drip irrigation internationally.
Oh, wow.
So we were famous for establishing drip irrigation in the world and having the patents for many, many years.
So did that happen in the Negev desert?
Yes, of course.
So
1965, yes.
Yes,
In the Negev.
I don't remember because I was born in 1965. But my father was a table grape farmer.
Yeah.
And I mean, he used to talk about the Negev desert was tamed by drip irrigation, by the
Yes.
Israeli technology.
Yeah, with the Israeli technology. But obviously, we've come a long way since
Yes.
then. And nowadays, drip irrigation is a part of the portfolio that we have to offer. And again, I still believe we specialize in that, and we still, I enjoy selling drip irrigation more than any other irrigation equipment because we're passionate about drip and saving water. But we've got, filters now. We've got dosing equipment to dose fertilizers with. We've got, all different kinds of valves, that's accessories towards the irrigation system. So really, anything other than pumps, Netafim can offer the industry at the moment. Also, a lot of technology these days in the micro sprinkler irrigation. So yeah, again, basically anything other than pumps, Netafim can offer these days. But we still like to believe that we are drip salesmen in our hearts. Well, I at least believe that we still specialize in drip irrigation and saving water.
And where is what you sell? Where is it manufactured?
So the drip irrigation is manufactured here in Cape Town. And then all other accessories is being imported from Israel and some other countries around the world.
Is all the drip irrigation for Netafim made here?
We are proud to say that since December 2023, all drip irrigation is manufactured locally in South Africa, yes.
Yeah, but for Netafim worldwide?
No.
No.
We're a small drop in the bucket of drip irrigation worldwide. No. In South Africa, we only manufacture for obviously the South African markets and neighboring countries. And then we've got, I think if I'm not mistaken, we've got 18 factories worldwide, which Netafim South Africa is only one of the 18 factories worldwide. Yeah.
Which one is the biggest?
The biggest at the moment would be China. Yeah.
Okay.
They manufacture more than 1 billion meters of drip irrigation in a year. To put it into perspective, South Africa manufactured 116 million meters in 2024, and obviously China's much bigger than that. Wow. Yeah, but we around about 160 million meters manufactured last year of drip irrigation in total.
And is South and Eastern Africa division, are you guys growing nicely? Or is your company and your operations, is it growing well? How's that going?
Yeah, always difficult to say with the cyclical nature of the different crops in agriculture. But I think the jump that we've seen from 2024 to 2025, there's definitely been a shift in momentum, a positive shift in momentum. So we are happy with where we are year to date in 2025. And if I just, talk to people across the industry and even in the neighboring countries, for sure there's a little bit more, wind behind our sails versus previous years. I think we went through a bit of a dip, 23, 24. And then now in 2025, for sure, there's an upshift again, I would say. So I'm optimistic for the short term, at least within our space, yes.
I've got a question. So South Africa produces a lot of fruit.
Yes.
And I think most people in the fruit industry is familiar with either drip or micro irrigation. But there's other crops being grown, row crops, obviously not grains and maize, unless it's under pivot, that gets irrigation.
Yes.
Is there things that could be done differently? So I know pivot irrigation is huge. We've got lots of pivots going up. But you guys are also doing other less known things that could replace those kind of things and that could save more water.
Yeah, actually, I took a look at the breakdown of irrigation in South Africa not too long ago, actually. So drip irrigation, if you take a look at all irrigation in South Africa, drip irrigation accounts for 19% of all irrigation. 19%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The global average of drip irrigation is 6%. The global average. So we are again way above the global average. If you take a look at center pivot irrigation in South Africa, again we're talking about irrigation across all crops, row crops included, is on 49%. So there's still a big opportunity for us to enter into that market and start irrigating a little bit more efficiently. It's extremely difficult, and I personally have been in my agronomy days been involved in a lot of research regarding maize and if we can add some value with drip irrigation towards maize, because in a lot of other countries they're already doing it for many years, specifically North America, South America, big hectares on subsurface drip irrigation on maize. We also are very successful with irrigating sugarcane subsurface in South Africa and Swaziland, thousands and thousands of hectares. The biggest obstacle we face when it comes to the entering specifically the maize market is the germination phase. When they go in North America and even Western Europe with a subsurface drip, they come out of the winter, which is normally a wet winter. So when they plant the maize in springtime, they've got a full profile of water. And this they used to germinate with. Whereas in South Africa, in the maize planted areas, it's obviously a summer rainfall area. When they come out of winter into spring, when they need to plant, the soil is bone dry. And then they need a system to germinate with. And this is where we've faced some challenges entering into the maize market.
But why is it a challenge? Because you are putting the water where it should be,
Yeah, but when we install the drip irrigation subsurface and they plant on top of that, you need to really know what you're doing to really ensure 100% germination.
So how did they do it in the States?
They plant in a wet profile because they come out of snow and rain during the winter.
Okay.
And when it's springtime, the profile is soaking wet. So they can germinate. They don't need to irrigate to germinate.
So when do they start irrigating?
They start irrigating as soon as the profile really dries up. So they would germinate with the inherent soil moisture from the winter season.
Yeah.
And then it probably takes them up to 30 to 40 days before they irrigate for the first time, actually. So it's a totally different story into South Africa. But that's only on maize. When you talk about other row crops, for sure we're playing into that market. If you take a look at peppers, chilies, garlic, onion seed, carrot seed, these are relatively big markets for us.
Yes.
Tomatoes, cucumbers, processing tomatoes, relatively big markets for us. And we've focused on them for the last 2 years specifically, because it's when we started manufacturing the seasonal drip line that I spoke about in 2023. So when we started manufacturing that drip line locally, the door opened up for us to come and service, these seasonal crops or these row crop markets that we never traditionally could.
Okay, now I want to take you back. I have heard of it, but I know that there are a lot of people that have never heard of underground irrigation. Irrigation. It sounds kind of underground.
Yeah.
But you need to explain this a little bit, because people expect sprinklers and drip to be above the ground.
Yeah.
Will you please elaborate a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so it's very crop specific. So the reason that we tend to put drip lines underground is, first of all, to get out of the way. Let's just take sugar industry, for example, because this is the biggest subsurface drip irrigation industry in the southern part of Africa. Traditionally, as you guys will know, they burn the cane before harvest. Now, obviously, you can't burn the cane when you've got a dripper line on the surface. So now we install the drip lines below the surface, about 15 centimeters below the surface, and then they can burn safely on top of the surface without damaging the drip lines.
And also sugarcane is a multi-year crop. So
it's a multi-year crop, anything from 8 to 12 years. Yeah,
it's not like maize that you harvest it and then it's done. It stays there.
There is obviously other benefits as well. The other benefits is you get away from losses to the atmosphere, because there's even though there's little evaporation with normal drip line, there's now almost zero evaporation because the water is not exposed to the atmosphere. Believe it or not, they still have issues with theft of drip line on the surface as well. Where now, when you bury the lines, I mean, it's a little bit more difficult to get all.
Yes, that's a very South African benefit.
Yeah, it's a very South African benefit to have. Yeah, so there are small nuances one can look at when it comes to subsurface drip irrigation, but mostly it's in the sugar industry where they want it out of the way to burn. With maize, again, on the research that we've done, there they want it out of the way for harvesting purposes. There's obviously a lot of actions on ground. You need to spray, you need to harvest, you need to do a lot of things, and you want that drip line out of the way. You don't want to worry about it, and that's why they also put it subsurface in that industry.
So now another question, a very practical question, which I'm sure there's an answer for. When you have above the ground drippers, you can visually check them to see if they're working.
Yes.
How do you know if it's under the ground? How do you know it's not blocked? How do you know it's working? How do you check that?
You sound like a farmer, Louise.
Can you tell?
No, it's a good question. It's a question we face quite often, actually. And it's really, really easy. When the design for the system has been done, obviously there's a certain flow rate per block or per hectare or per line that, even if you want to go into that detail, that it should deliver. And then we use a simple water meter to monitor the flow. If the flow goes higher than what it's designed for, then there's probably a leak in the system somewhere, and you need to go and investigate. If it goes lower than what it was designed for, we're obviously facing a little bit of blockages somewhere, and then we can go and investigate. And we do this on a block level.
How do you investigate?
Then you start digging.
There's no special AI or something that you look from above and see where it's wet. It's literally you have to go and dig.
I would come in here and say that there is some technology available at the moment.
You get leak detection, what the plumbers are using.
That's what I was thinking.
In the plumbing industry, you use a sonic leak detection. So they put earphones like this on, and they've got a mic that they put on the wall, and you can actually hear the water running.
Yeah.
So I presume you can use something like that also.
Don't they also use the gas detection in the plumbing industry?
Yeah, they'll probably use the gas detection as well.
But no, there is definitely technology coming out, if it's not out yet. So please, all the drone companies, excuse me for my ignorance, but where they monitor with drones to see whether they see uneven moisture distribution in the fields, or they can definitely detect a leak. I mean, if there was a pipe burst, they would for sure detect that with the drone and the technologies that they have there. I've not seen it with my own eyes. I've heard about this, at conferences and farmers' days and all that. But I mean, it's just a matter of time. If it's not there already, it will be there very soon. But primary measurement is just a normal traditional water meter, and you compare it with what it was designed for, and you get 90% of your answers just by monitoring.
But it's very cool technology that you can actually be watering plants underground. You can't see it from above. So in other words, as you say, people can't steal it, but also there's no evaporation. And this is happening particularly in places like South Africa is a very dry place.
Yes.
So if you can be watering your stuff without the traditional evaporation problem, it's pretty cool.
In South Africa, well, I'm pretty sure everywhere else, you've got specialized leak detection plumbing companies. That is what they do. They go find leaks. And I'm pretty sure the same technology for that can probably be used for what they're doing.
Sorry for the complete going down a wormhole here, but it's interesting.
Don't mind talking about plumbing either.
Why don't they put subsoil dripper lines on permanent crops?
I think it's mostly to do with what Louise said. The guys feel a little bit more comfortable by seeing it when it's on top of the soil. I think it's that peace of mind by just seeing it, just making sure everything's okay.
So I'm
Whereas
not
with-
the first person to ask this question.
like I said, I've answered this question probably 1,000 times already in my lifetime. so I think it's just that peace of mind. I mean, if I was a farmer, I would also prefer to have it on the soil just for that extra peace of mind. But it's just because of the all the things you need to do on top of the surface in these nuanced crops, I would say, that they put it subsurface. But nothing wrong with on surface. I mean, you maybe would lose 2 or 3% on to evaporation, but I mean, if you compare it to traditional systems, it's still, a big improvement. So
I actually heard about it 5 or 6 years ago from table grape farmers during a pretty serious drought. Remember the drought we had a couple
the
of
day
years
zero
ago?
scares and all that. Yeah.
They were talking about this, and I said, "What? There is such a thing." And they were saying they are considering it. So, you'd be surprised. Actually, I think it might have its place and permanent crops.
Well, so traditionally, according to SABI, the South African Irrigation Institute, according to their norms, drip irrigation on top of the surface is already 95% efficient. So the only real saving is between the 95 to 100, which, I mean, you can argue when you talk about day zero and all these things, 5% becomes a lot. But, I mean, you would probably save another 2 or 3%. So
We're splitting hairs here.
we're splitting hairs,
or drops.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what is there any new stuff Netafim is working on at the moment?
Yeah, I think the biggest new thing that we came out with recently is our cloud-based software when it comes to the controllers of the system. Now, these controllers are for the first time in Netafim's arsenal, at least, or as part of Netafim's portfolio, is now cloud-based, and this can control the whole system. So, I mean, this can flush the filters, this can open and close valves, this can start and stop pumps, this can monitor the flow of the water meters. So this now can also inject fertilizer in different concentrations for different blocks, for different age trees, whatever you want. And you can now all control it from your phone or from your tablet or whatever for the first time. So this is probably the latest thing that came out from Netafim's side that we're very excited about. The adoption of this technology, I mean, we weren't the first to introduce it to the market, so there were some other products out there. But it's the first time that we introduced it, and the adoption from our side was actually very successful. We're very happy about the launch of we launched in 2024, so we've already probably been 1.5 years down the line, and we're very happy with the progress that we've made in this specific space. Yeah.
It really helps the more you can do without having somebody to go and open a tap or go and switch off a valve or whatever. If you can do it remotely, it makes all the difference. And it also, you have to rely less on other people if these things can be done. You don't have to delegate.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that you can do it from, remotely.
Yeah, removing human error is quite a big motivation for farmers these days. And I also think the other thing where the technology really plays a massive role is in all the reporting these days, specifically for the export crop farmers. I mean, with Global Gap and Eurogap, I mean, the reports and the paperwork that these guys have to deal with on an annual basis just to export their crops, it's a massive task. But now with the technology, I mean, it basically pulls the data for you and you put it into your report, and it's much, much easier than to go manually and write everything down and monitor.
So we had the discussion before we started recording about AI.
Yep.
And you said you didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I presume with AI features and all of this data that's available, it could be hugely beneficial not only to Netafim but to the growers itself.
No, for sure.
Is there stuff coming that's got to do with AI?
Yeah, for sure. I think even though I have some personal gripes with AI, you can't stop the revolution from happening, and I would be ignorant to not admit that it's already playing a role, within agriculture. In our systems, I mean, I wouldn't say we up to speed yet, although I can say that it's coming soon. But there's for sure some technology in there that will help the farmer make quicker decisions, where, they take the weather into account, they take the soil moisture probes into account, they take the life cycle of the crop and the phenological stage into account, and then the AI would make a recommendation as to how much fertilizer you need to apply and how much water you need to apply. And then obviously the farmer can use it or not use it. You can also make the setting that we just put it on autopilot and, you farm for me.
I was going to ask that. Has anybody done that test?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say in South Africa I wouldn't say that it's been done successfully in South Africa, but in other parts of the world, yes, it's been done.
And results been
relatively okay.
Okay.
There's still some tweaks to be made, I think, but we're not far away from that now. Yeah,
We live in interesting times.
for sure.
You're still going to need somebody to go fix the pipe if you put a fork through it.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so and looking down the road for Netafim, Netafim South and East Africa, are there some exciting projects in the pipeline? Are there some new countries you might be entering? When you look in the near to medium term, what are you excited about?
I think first of all that we need to execute on the momentum now. I'm very excited about a couple of industries, specifically the blueberries that we also discussed a little bit already. I can't even remember if that was before recording or after recording, but we can get
No,
to
you
that.
just said you were excited about the blueberries
In Zimbabwe, yes. Citrus industry, has always felt like the backbone of South African export agriculture to me, and they've just continued throughout, the tough times, and I can't see them, really slowing down anytime soon. So I'm continuing to be excited by the citrus industry. And then the macadamias went through a bit of a dip now because of China's long lockdown and
picked up a bit.
a lot of other reasons. But 2025 was a relatively good year for them, and I think that they're going to start building on that momentum. So I think you were asking about the short term of Netafim South Africa. I think first of all we need to make sure that we service these industries properly, and we make sure that we help them to achieve what they want to achieve. And then if we look a little bit further, I think we should start exploring some other African countries and start slowly educating and developing some of these markets. For years, the whole world has been saying that Africa is going to be, the breadbasket of the world. And there's so much potential here and all that. But I don't think the efforts and the hope, really connect with each other at the moment. And I think it's a responsibility from us as a company to help this, tempo of adoption and this tempo of development in some of these countries, because it's inevitable that it will happen. It's just about the pace of it happening now that I think we can, play a bit of a role to speed that up a bit. So that I think would be a focus for us in the short to medium term, as well as developing some of these interesting markets in Africa as well.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Whereabouts in Africa are you getting inquiries from? That's like
unexpected or new or
Rwanda is quite an up and coming country. Netafim from a corporate side has done a big project for the Rwandan government now with a 20,000 hectare irrigation scheme, which the government built. So now they need to.
What are they irrigating in 20,000 hectares?
They're not irrigating much at the moment. They built the scheme. Now the people should come and invest and irrigate from the scheme. So that is something that we can all look at in the short to medium term as well, because they're busy allocating land and selling land now. It's very similar to the Loskop scheme actually, for the listeners now that know the Loskop Valley scheme. So it's a canal system that can irrigate up to 20,000 hectares. So there's going to be hopefully development of 20,000 hectares of farmers coming along wanting to plant. So Rwanda is quite an interesting country for us at the moment. Then Ghana is also gaining a lot of traction. There's a lot of economic stability for the first time in a long time. A lot of European countries also looking towards investing in Ghana. So Ghana, personally for me, is one that I'm keeping my eye on. I think there's going to be some interesting things happening.
It's reasonably close to the European market,
yes.
From an African perspective.
But it's still a landlocked country, that and Rwanda.
Ghana?
Rwanda is landlocked. Ghana is not.
No.
Accra is.
Why is my geography?
No, it's West Africa. It's on the bulge of Africa.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, it's West Africa is geographically quite close to Europe.
Yes.
So for flights as well as shipping, and it's kind of just on the equator. So you could be producing stuff counter season to some extent, or in a window which is. So that sounds quite cool. And Rwanda, it's got such an incredible climate. Yeah, they could be growing all kinds of exotic stuff there.
Yeah.
So that's exciting to hear. Yeah. Interesting to watch that and see where that goes. On different crops, you mentioned the crops that we know about. Is there anything new or interesting that's come across your path? People growing, I don't know. I know the lychee industry and the kiwi industry, and there's even granadillas that's happening. Are you What are you seeing? Are you seeing anything interesting come from those perspectives?
No, I tend to be a little bit cautious when it comes to all these new crops. I've been involved in a couple of these exotic crops over the years, and I mean, they normally come and go. You get a period of time where 10 farmers go crazy and they plant a couple of hectares of something like dragon fruit, or you mentioned kiwis to a large extent. I would throw into that bucket as well. But what I am excited about is more, cultivar development on the crops that we're already doing well in. I mean, for example, the blueberry industry, if we can quickly come back to that now. I mean, the cultivars that come out of the big nurseries now on blueberries is amazing. I mean, you can get blueberries now the size of your palm, where 10 years ago that wasn't possible. And I mean, so what we are seeing is that we see the changes in trends within our normal industries: citrus, table grapes, blueberries. There we see the changes, where the consumer on the other side in the export countries, they change their consumer preferences, and then the nurseries adapt and they make these new cultivars, and then we see them coming to our shores. So that excites me more than these niche crops.
So where R&D is happening on cultivars and improving cultivars incrementally every year, that is actually the root of prosperity for so many people, because you get a better product, then people are planting it, then hopefully they're getting a premium on that.
Yes.
And consumers are being educated to this. Have you seen this amazing new thing?
Yeah.
And everybody, all the stakeholders and input cost people that are putting inputs like yourselves, benefit from that R&D along the way.
Yes.
So it's really cool, because we were saying, if you were to take the fruit that we take for granted every day now, and you put it against what that fruit looked like 50 years ago, that type of fruit, you're talking about completely different things. And I mean, I completely agree with you about the blueberries. I mean, we were at the Blueberry Summit last week, and the blueberries you see now, it's like you feel like you're dreaming when you look at this stuff. It's phenomenal. Yeah. And it's leading the market, We heard that from the stage, that they were saying that there's like this leading subcategory of blueberries.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's really taking the world by storm, to be honest with you. It's, everywhere you go, when you're talking with anyone involved in the blueberry industry, they're talking about this variety. It also just talks towards the power of marketing and opening up new markets. I mean, that drives development.
For sure.
In South Africa. And I think, over the last couple of years, we've been fortunate to see a lot of industry bodies, and even to a large extent, we need to give the government a little bit of credit here, where they've really put in a lot of effort and resources into opening up new markets. And this drives development, because if we can't open up new markets, then, no one's going to continue to develop. And it's becoming increasingly important, specifically now with the tariffs being implemented on us. Because now, on the one hand, you're trying to open markets. On the other hand, one of your biggest markets just basically shut you down to a large extent. So it's a live thing that needs to be managed constantly. But I mean, for sure, if we can't stop opening up and looking for new markets. That drives development all down the value chain.
For sure. And I mean, also, you guys are in an unfortunate position that most crops need irrigation.
No, not most crops, all crops. Everything needs
that's
water.
The dream, huh?
Everything needs water. Some of them wait for the good Lord to send it out of the sky.
Yeah, but even those ones are being grown under irrigation as well.
For sure. So, I mean, it's not like, you guys are helping everybody with the irrigation. So you have a very important task.
Yeah, I would think that my job is safe for a while still, yeah.
You can be the drip at the bride.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got another completely different thing I want to chat about. So you said you've got the seasonal dripper line. When you say seasonal, is it a single use kind of thing?
Yeah. It's a drip line that we manufacture by using less material, because we don't want it to last for 20 years, like our traditional drip lines. We only want it to last for one cash crop season. So when a guy plants, let's say tomatoes, we take tomatoes as an example, we want that drip line to last for the season while he's growing his tomatoes, which is anything between 90 to 140 days. He doesn't need to do any maintenance on the drip line. He handles it like a normal input cost, like you would handle his seeds, his fertilizer, his labor. You handle your irrigation, you throw in there with the seasonal drip line as well, and you recycle it or throw it away after the season, and you start fresh over the next season. So there's no maintenance involved, no real thinking about it, and obviously it's a much more cost-efficient drip line. It's not the price of the drip line that must last for 20 years. That's on a citrus orchard, for example.
So my question with that is, you said recycle or throw it away, because I've been to farms where there's heaps of black pipe just laying, and it's not being recycled. It's not being done anything to it. So what should farmers do with that? Because okay, it's all good and fine. You put it treat it as input cost, but the input cost of a tomato plant, the vine you chuck away and the fruit gets sold, and the ground you plow over again. But you're going to sit with this physical item that's going to be waste.
Yeah, no, that's an extremely good question. It's something that, on a personal note, I've been wrestling with for some time now. And as a company, obviously, we understand that we've got a responsibility. We're putting all this plastic into the world. We need to do something with it. I was involved now for the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years about investigating solutions from Netafim side about what we can do and what we can offer the industry or the market to convince them or to motivate them to recycle more. It is difficult. Because someone needs to incur some costs. But I think the way that we need to go is to incentivize the farmers in one way or another to recycle. I mean, the recycle facilities is available. It's just whether the farmers should be responsible for taking the material to the recycler.
I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. It's not on top of the priority list, and you can understand why. Probably to a large extent, there's many things that need to happen on a farm on a day-to-day basis, but to recycle the material, I mean, that process is well known and that can be done easily. It's just about getting the material to recycler, which is the piece of the puzzle that has not really yet been solved. So if there's anyone out there wanting to open up a business, here's an opportunity for you guys. Start recycling dripper lines.
Okay, so obviously if you recycle it, will be broken down into a raw material again. Is that something that a company like Netafim or another irrigation manufacturer could use again to make more seasonal line or whatever, for instance?
Yes, so we can use a component of the recycled material in the remanufacturing of drip lines. So a certain percentage we can use. In other countries like Mexico, for example, Netafim Mexico, they have 100% recycled drip line at the moment. And they actually, ask a little bit more money for that versus the virgin material drip line, because the farmer wants to pay to be socially responsible.
Okay.
So, it's that old drive as well. And the consumer also pays. I mean, if there's a small sticker on the packet of tomatoes in a Mexican shop that says this was made with recycled material, I mean, there's a lot of consumers that would pay extra $50 or $1 for that product because they know that it's been responsibly produced. And I'm all for that, actually.
Yeah, one would almost think that a recycled item should be cheaper. Well, that's what your mind would say, because it's now the second time it's being used.
Well, let's put it this way, it's obviously more efficient. You're going to be using less plastic, and that plastic's not lying out there. So this is an argument that can go both ways. But it's an interesting thing, that agriculture is one of the biggest users of plastic.
Yes.
In the
and
world.
we've spoken about this in terms of nets and stuff like that as well. And tunnels.
Tunnels, and then obviously the packaging that it goes into. And so it's good to know that there is some form of recycling happening.
Yeah, but just on the recycling one still, I think a lot of people, when they think about recycling, they tend to stop that, or they tend to stop thinking at, this was pipe, we need to recycle it needs to become pipe again. It's not the case. I mean, how many plastic things was just in this room? That drip irrigation that came mostly from virgin material, by the way, specifically if it comes from the Netafim factory, is still a very good material to use to make anything else. Plastic furniture, shopping bags, bottles, anything plastic basically. So we don't need to think that pipe needs to become pipe again after it's been recycled. It can become anything plastic. And I think that's where people should start thinking a little bit more broadly about plastic and recycling in the agricultural space specifically.
You are from South Africa and Eastern Africa, that whole thing. But has Netafim globally seen requests from the industry to start using more recycled material?
Yeah, in the more developed countries, again, first world countries, there's becoming more and more pressure on being responsible in recycling.
So obviously not just you guys, it's all irrigation.
Yeah, all irrigation companies that manufacture anything
Yeah.
with plastic. I mean, even at this stage, and I'm talking under correction here, but I think that in I think it was France or Italy, but one of the two, if you install a new irrigation system there now, and you want to sell your crop to certain retailers, you need to have at least 30 to 40% of recycled material as part of your irrigation system to sell to certain retailers. And what I'm expecting to happen in South Africa, again, with all the regulations that we have on Global Gap and Europe,
I'm just listening to this and thinking, it's coming.
they're going to come at some stage and say, listen, if you want to sell at a Marks and Spencer's or at a Tesco, we want to see at least 10 to 20% of recycled material in your irrigation system. And I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense. We all, living in this world, we all want to see a better future for our children and our grandchildren. So, and I mean, we can do it. It's just about someone needs to be held accountable for it.
Do you think there's a possibility for a side business, not for Netafim, for maybe somebody listening to this that said, well, let me investigate it, that there's a possibility, because there's like, how many million kilometers of pipe did you do last year?
116 million meters.
And how many of that was replacing new lines, or was it new installations?
Let me.
Well, obviously you might not know the exact.
Yeah,
but
difficult to say whether it was new or replacement, but it's.
There will be some percentage of it that is available now for recycling. Actually,
there's millions of meters out there that can be recycled this afternoon.
I was on a farm last week, and there was.
Are you going back?
there was a massive pile of black pipe. I'm not saying it was triple line. It was black PVC pipe that I saw.
Yeah, you see that on many farms.
Yeah. No, but you were asking about an opportunity. I mean, that's why I was, talking into the camera early on, saying that, I mean, if there's someone out there that wants to do this, I think there's a good opportunity to go around, collect this pipe, sell it to the recycler. I think you can make a decent living.
Yeah, because you obviously have to collect it for free, because no farmer is going to pay for it to be removed.
Yeah, exactly. But that you can work
until they catch on. Just don't arrive there with a Mercedes bucky to collect. the stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, until the old lady in England doesn't want to buy your berries anymore.
Interesting.
Sure. You also said that you've been speaking about a lot of irrigation things, like you had a couple of other interviews last week and so on. Is there anything else that you want to share with us about what Netafim is doing that we haven't spoken about now, or that's close to your heart?
No, I think it's not really anything that Netafim is busy with at the moment. I think, whenever I get the opportunity to talk to people, I would always just continue to encourage them to use water sparingly. I mean, I think we underestimate the amount of water we have left in the near future in South Africa. And we need to look into continuing to use water more efficiently. Again, as mentioned earlier, versus the global average of drip adoption, we are way ahead. But I think South African farmers in general are better farmers than most farmers in the world. And I mean, it's not just because I live here and I'm probably a little bit biased as well, but generally from what I've seen in the places that I've had the privilege to visit, is that South African farmers are they are significantly ahead of the rest. And I think we just need to encourage that and continue to work towards being more efficient, even because there's still a lot of room for improvement. And we don't have a lot of water in South Africa. I think we're underestimating the amount of water we have available. And as we all know, agriculture uses up the bulk of the fresh water we have in the country, and we need to be responsible.
I sometimes tell people from abroad that the drought we had in the last 10 years has made farmers look at water in a different way. When you are hearing about day zero and things like that, every dripping tap, every overflowing tank, people definitely, there's been a mind shift that I have seen on farms about water. And we were in California in 2022,
say exactly
and we, after living through that drought,
and they were in a big drought.
They were in a big drought. After seeing how people can mitigate evaporation and can do everything that people here were doing, including the subsurface things I was telling you about, we got to California and we were gobsmacked at that. irrigating with overhead sprinklers at 12 o'clock in the day
Yes.
on the highway.
Yes.
You know,
not
and-
just that. There was I didn't see a single line dam.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, there was orchards we went into that was still under flood irrigation.
A lot of flood in California still,
Yes.
unfortunately. Yes, agree.
So as you were saying, South African farmers, I think there is definitely a head shift about water. It's happened. Obviously not to everyone, but it definitely happened at the time of the flood. And as you were saying about the resilience of South African farmers, we have challenges that a lot of other people in other parts
Yes.
of the world don't have. And that lovely Afrikaans saying about 'n boer maak 'n plan. South African farmers have been making a plan for a very long time.
Yes.
So I think it's a nice vote of confidence from you about them, and what we've seen in our travels internationally, it's definitely we can say we agree with you on that.
One of the things, well, we've been talking about Netafim and selling Netafim now for this whole episode, but you can't just walk into Netafim office and buy the pipe. You need to go through a distributor. Am I correct? In South Africa.
Yes. Yeah. So we work through a dealer network where we basically sell, we're the wholesaler.
Yes.
We're the wholesale company.
Yeah.
And we sell to irrigation companies that then sell to the farmers, yes. Yeah, we do not sell directly to the public in South Africa.
And in terms of, for the few people in this industry that might not know, what services do you offer around that? Can you help them with the design of the irrigation design for whatever crop it is? Or do they need to rely on the irrigation installer to do that?
No, we normally rely on the dealers to do the design. We've obviously got designers in-house that can advise and support and help where needed, but traditionally the dealers would do the design and they would do the installation. Where we come in is we advise on products, we advise on the design as mentioned, we advise on agronomy recommendations about what delivery rate, what spacing on the dripper line, where can we plant, how do we need to prepare the soil for proper irrigation practice going forward over a longer period of time. These things we advise on with the dealer and with the farmer. So we get in contact with the farmer, on a daily basis. We just don't sell directly to him, but we're in contact with farmers on a daily basis.
So if that pipe bursts at 12 o'clock on a Friday evening, who do they phone?
The dealer, please. And they will probably call us on Monday.
Sounds like someone who worked in the plumbing industry.
Because a pipe doesn't burst on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock
it
when
doesn't,
everybody's
no.
open.
No, it doesn't, no. Yeah.
I think it's been incredibly interesting. Do you have like a wrap-up message to people? I think you might have been there already when you spoke about water, but is there anything else you would like to say, like as a closer?
No, I think from my side, thanks for the opportunity. Always interesting to have these types of discussions. I must say, I think with everything happening in the world, it can be overwhelming, and I think we need to stick with the basics. I think again, as we've already touched on numerous times now, we know what to do and we know the direction we want to move into. We need to stick to the basics, and it's all about getting to the end result as quickly as possible.
Most efficiently and optimally.
Most efficiently, most optimally. All those things that we talk about generally in these conversations. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the short to medium term. And let's just hope for the best.
And it's amazing that there are companies like yours that make the few drops of water that we have go as far as they can. So I think it's very important to use water as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, well, that's why we wake up in the morning.
Yes. The reason why Dewald's sitting there with the book, he's not about to sing.
Definitely not.
We have a tradition where somebody before us,
Gesangeboekie.
someone that we've interviewed before you, has left a question, a random question.
Okay.
And this is the final question.
Okay.
And we'll get one from you as well. Yeah. So Dewald is looking in his little book there, and he's going to have a question for you.
This is not the actual question. Have you been to Mexico?
No, I've never been to Mexico.
Okay. Still on bucket list to go there. Okay. Because there's a question about Mexico. So if you've been there, you might have been able to answer it, but no. Okay. So this is more personal question than what it is related to the company. Where do you think SA will be in the next 30 years? will you, in the meantime, immigrate or will you stay?
I'm very passionate about this point.
I'd love to hear from you.
No, I will not. I will not immigrate. Definitely not with the way things are going. I mean, we're on the up. I mean, things are. I'm very optimistic. Forget about agriculture for a second. Just country in general. I mean, it's the most optimistic I've been in the last 10 years. I don't think the answer is to immigrate. I mean, why would you run away from your home country when you can be here and help the change? I must be, maybe I shouldn't be that controversial, but I do judge people that do that to a little bit of an extent. I'd rather be part of the solution, stay here, make the change, be the change. Yeah, I also want to set the example to my children that, I mean, when you're facing problems and issues, it's no worth running away from it. I mean, let's face it. There's a Stoic saying that I like a lot that says the obstacle is the way. So, when you're facing these types of obstacles and these types of challenges, the only way to go is go through it. I mean, I'm really optimistic. The most optimistic I've ever been in South Africa is 2025. What's the date today? 7th of October. 7th of October 2025. I will not immigrate now. And we back-to-back rugby world champions, rugby championship champions, and World Cup champions. No.
Yeah.
So there's no better place than South Africa. No better place.
Fantastic answer. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been awesome.
Very good. Very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for everything you're also doing, man, for the industry.
No,
appreciate it.
We do it because we love it.